if you could let us know, we'll look at it.
Have you launched an investigation to that aspect?
We will review all the issues related to the executive jet. There will be an internal review done through the agencies requested by the ministry. But if customs officers or whoever are saying these things, we'd like to know it then. We'd like to know. I invite them to come and provide us with that information.
Would you be concerned too, sir, that there might be a senior officer of the airport who's also in the employ of Executive Jet and its private businesses?
The report that, well, I don't think it's a senior person. I think that there is an employee in a supervisory position. We understand and review who has had a, to put it mildly, a moonlighting arrangement with Executive Jet at the gas station that the person owns. And we are dealing with that matter and a related issue as a conflict of interest matter, and we'll deal with that matter.
Mr. Marcel, just trying to develop a sequence. In 2010, a proposal was made. In 2011, approval was granted. In
2012, the approval was
12.
given.
What happened for last year? Do you have records or any flights in and out of Guyana for 2013?
There have been flights since whenever they started, there have been flights coming
So
in.
the 18 covers the 2013.
Well, the airport will give us information, but I can't. When was the first date they had the first flight? In 2010. They've had flights since then.
So you could provide a record of 2013 flights.
Yeah.
But the hammer wasn't, it's a .5 hammer. It wasn't constructed. It was still under construction.
It is still under construction.
Well,
I'm telling you that the hangar is not finished, that there's still internal work on the structure and the internal separations are basically finished. But in terms of facilitating crew accommodation, the accommodation for when you have specific executive flights in relation to the airport and other authorities, those are not finished.
So, and you said that CGIA had the keys for the...
Listen, who is not here?
That's that CGIA has the keys for the hammer. For the gate to the hammer.
Yeah.
When the flight provided its schedule, because I'm told it's on a one-off, every time it's
Every flight has to be approved and every flight has to be vetted, and the normal immigration and customs and so arrangements have to be done in front of the airport.
It's perplexing that the flights, hiring a private jet is cheaper than going with multiple carriers to the destinations that you have mentioned. Are you able to provide figures for one such?
I don't know if I can provide it right now. I know that the rationale, the simple rationale relates to satisfactory price, and also, like I just came through from Bolivia. And to leave where I was in Bolivia to get to Guyana, it took me almost 24 hours. So I had to fly 2 places in Bolivia, then go to Panama and wait 6 hours, then go to Trinidad, and then I had to wait 6 hours again, and then get here. The other part of it comes with me. But if I flew from Georgetown from CGIA to where I went to in Bolivia, it probably would take me 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours.
So
So I had a direct flight.
is it safe to say then that your calculations are not monetary? It's more.
No, it's not. It is both monetary.
Time.
It's both time and monetary.
But,
And sometimes when you do some things, you may only have a limited window in which to do the things you're doing.
well, what's perplexing to me, sir, is why only 18 flights for a cheaper carrier for the year?
I can't answer for the business arrangements for the company. How I'm answering for it, the question was raised in the press. The question was raised in the press about the use of the company for a specific presidential flights. And that's the answer I'm giving. And it's a rational, logical answer. And executives, senior corporate people, and people at the senior government level sometimes don't have the time to sit around wiggling around in airports. They have better use of their time, and they may have a limited window in which to apply their effort to any particular thing. No, just let her finish it.
I remember Oval had brought in a jet some time back, and they had said for a flight from here to Brazil, but in their country, it would have cost $17,500.
So where?
One way. I'm not sure if it's Brazil or if it's an island. I'm just trying to figure out, is the airport or your ministry, are you privy to money facts surrounding the cost of charters?
I don't think we have those details, Suleiman. No, but I remember some discussion in the use of the executive jet club LLC going, I think was the Antigua St. Vincent by the president, and checks were being made around as to the time, the limited time they had available to be there, the amount of time it would take to get there, and then the prices. And I clearly remember, just off the top perhaps, that it was more economical in time and money to use. That's what I remember. I might be wrong thing, but that's what I clearly remember in the discussion, because I remember getting involved at the margins as to where how long you have to wait in Trinidad or Barbados or some other place before you go over and so on. And then we get it back because of the other things which had to be attended to by the people at OP at the center.
And my question is for CJIA officials and GCA. Are you satisfied that satisfactory due diligence was done on Mr. Wallace's company to give him relevant information for CJIA for the building of having the hardware in terms of him paying his rent or whatever for that facility? Did you investigate to find out if he had a similar business in the US and it was operational and it was a legitimate business where his funding was coming from?
We were satisfied at the time that this activity went into operation of the bona fides we had of the company, of the director's history in aviation, which is clear, his resume in that field, and we were satisfied too, and happy that we would have had this facilitation in our country. I would also say too that this is a United States company. This is not merely a Guyana company. And I would also like to rely on their due diligence. not simply our due diligence, but their due diligence too. We, of course, will not ever put ourselves in a position of swearing to for any person who comes to us down to the last I and T in respect of what they do. And I don't want to find myself even here now in a position of prejudging the issues in relation to Mr. Lal, since these things are sub judice. But we were satisfied up to that point as to the bona fides, the representations, the licensing, which is part of the United States of America with respect to the company and the aircraft, that we had an upfront organization to work with.
As I understand it, the airport is directly responsible for hackers on it. Could you give a little synopsis of how the airport handles the hackers and the persons who operate security checks? What procedures do you have in place as it relates to monitoring these hackers, if any, are necessary?
Mr. captured it in his earlier statement when he outlined that we have other similar hangout where
I'm talking about all hackers.
yeah, I'm talking about this. Let me say that to access the restricted areas of the airport, you have to be checked by the security. And this goes
Access your hackers.
I'm talking restricted areas. Hangers are very good.
Yes.
Access
But
is
CGI
restricted.
is responsible for that building, right?
CGI don't own access.
Yes, but you're the overseer for the operators.
That's
of
right.
Right.
So
So,
the
I want to know what
access-
procedures we
Yeah,
follow,
and
what you have in
an
place.
extended procedure. To access the restricted areas of the airport, you're required to be checked by the airport security. In the case of these hangars, in some instances, we have access by what we call a landside gate, where they can go in and operate, like the Laparkin and the Meridian. People go in, they check the bag, they check in, and that is up to them. Once you move from outside of that restricted area and you want to go on the inside to access the aircraft, you have to be solved very quickly. Very thing will happen in this case when this hangar becomes operational, it will be very efficient.
What's the process like for private jet flights in terms of the passengers? When Mr. Lal says he's coming into Guyana on Tuesday, will he have to forward the names of his passengers?
The names, every flight that is made is approved, not simply, it's recommended by the civil aviation, and I am the one who approves. There is a listing of the passenger names with the passport numbers, and we also and it's supposed to come at 48 hours or something else before. So it's not approved before.
And could you say, sir, whether or not the former president, Mr. Jagdeo, has ever utilized the services of Executive Jet?
I can't say it, but he's now like any other guy. He can use whatever service he wants, like any other Guyanese. Any Guyanese person, you included, could go and hire the jet and fly to wherever you want to.
No, certainly if the former president is traveling, certain courtesies would have to be extended, security-wise, air-wise, so you wouldn't know whether or not he is
When he did that?
But once he's traveling, certain courtesies would have to be extended.
Well, I don't know why.
He's not just a regular citizen walking through the airport. What I'm trying to
The
get,
only courtesy that I'm aware of is that he uses the executive lounge.
and would he have used that to travel on Executive Jet for this year or last year?
I don't think he ever traveled with executive jet. I don't think the answer is
No,
the answer is no. The
You're
answer-
sure no, or you're sure?
Well, the airport manager said the answer is no.
You're sure the answer is no?
We could check with the thing and see. But I won't read anything in it now. Any Guyanese person could use a jet service. And then if a jet service comes in, there are other executive places where people think. If a big shot, when I say big shot, the person who's willing to put out the money, he doesn't have to go at the airport. He doesn't have to go to the normal waiting or arrival areas for the plane. He can use an executive area before he goes out, and courtesies are extended.
But are there certain red flags that would be raised? If you see a Tom Jones coming in on this private flight, would you then question who is this man, coming in on a private flight in the middle of the night or whenever he will be coming in? Are there red flags that you look for with regards to the passengers coming in on these private flights?
Well, I don't know who it is that you think we should be red flagging just like that. We take the record and we take information. It is there for us to trace and follow up and check. And I hope you're not suggesting that the former president should be red flag.
These are two separate questions.
Oh, that's why I want to be clear about that part of it. We do not run a police state in there. We allow the citizens free travel in and out of our country. We facilitate that with the normal or proper checks with respect to their activities and with respect to we cannot presume simply because people are traveling or doing whatever they do normally that they're up to some wickedness, to use that term. If we attempt to do that, we'll be going back to the bad old days of what is virtually a police state. We're not going back to police state again. Citizens are required to be facilitated by the government in respect of economic undertakings, and they have the right to perform their business in a proper and lawful manner. They have a right and a duty to do so. We have the responsibility to put sufficient effort in place to make sure that they do so. And where they break the laws in Guyana or out of it, they will be sanctioned. Just as if somebody attempts to carry out cocaine in the belly or in a tin of milk powder in Guyana or in the United States, they will be sanctioned. We cannot run our business on the presumption that every Guyanese traveling or doing something is an illegal person or a wicked person. Our country will collapse.
Of the 18 flights for the year, could you say how many passengers would have traversed on those flights?
We'll check on that. That'll come out to the rate.
18 flights so long.
They got check so they might be
And the rating of the airport, sir, quickly. The rating of the airport, there were some reports recently that the airport has lost its rating. Could you comment on that?
I'm not sure. So I don't know what rating it is. We're working, we haven't had category 1 rating, and we're working to get category 1 in 2 years.
What category is it at now?
The airport is not categorized. It's ability to provide oversight of the that is what I asked.
You got to say what I asked is they don't understand.
IASA is the U.S. International Safety Assessment.
What was the rating before that?
It was category 2.
And when did it change?
And it is based on not only what they define, but our compliance with NTA requirements.
And when did it change from 2 to?
Well, 2 to unlisted just means that they are not considered rated until there is a carrier from Guyana that wishes to operate into the US, then they're going to revisit Guyana to look at our. So they're not concerned about this. Until we have an airline.
When we have an airline that goes from Guyana, then they'll do their review and say, well, we meet a requirement which is to go there.
But I think Fly Jamaica is interested.
No, Fly Jamaica is for Jamaica.
Interested in not just the opportunity, they have to have an operation out of Guyana.
The
You have to have an
operation
AOC from Guyana.
It has to
want
come
to
from the
fly
state.
into the US. It means that you have to have a Guyana carrier established,
Yes.
and then they want to operate into the US, and then they apply to operate in the US. Then the FDA and the other agencies will look at the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority and something.
Are you doing investigations into the recent dynamic incident they're slipping into the mud, or is
It doesn't
It's a
require an
little-
investigation.
It's a little
operation.
pilot error. It's not
It's an occurrence. It's considered an
It's a-
occurrence. The engineers
a
will
small
look at it. They
mishap.
submit a report. They're in contact with our people, and they will submit the report as private.
I think Captain Gavai said there was a need for a longer runway based on this little mishap.
But we all know that there's need for a longer runway in terms of the development of our transport.
But the airport could comfortably accommodate these aircraft, the 767.
Well, every other air operator is using the same thing, so I don't know what the difficulty is. It seems to be a slight pilot thing. So
Turn around.
Mr. Menon, could you detail for us a bit more about what exactly will the review of jet operations entail, and will government still be using the services?
well, I think I said before you came that the operation has ceased of its own volition as a result of this incident. We will do our internal review based on all information we have here and the information we could access from overseas, and then make a recommendation for a decision higher up. But there are no operations going. So now I will not approve anything. They will not recommend and I will not approve. It's as simple as that.
I wanted to know what will be some of the elements of the review. What
Yes, well, we all the issues in relation to which were raised somehow, some of them as scare issues in respect of accessing the planes, where the passengers go, we'll review it. We have made some emphatic statements again before you came in respect of these matters. But we will formally sit together with ourselves and also with the other specialist agencies at the airport for these security and other matters to come up with a position.
Municipal, all things equal, if you think that all the procedures have been carried out as it pertains to
So
this.
far as we know, we are,
My question to you is, sir, do you believe that this money would have been found in Mayana had that plane arrived here?
we found many things in there. I can't speak for that thing, but I wouldn't denigrate our ability to find things. We have found many things in Guyana, you might be surprised to know. So I won't stretch my imagination so far as to speculate as to whether I think the money would have been found or whatever it is. So let's leave it at that for now.
aren't you worried that government's image is tainted by this?
I don't, and this is the problem I have. The government facilitates the expansion of its economy, of the country. It facilitates the opportunities for Guyanese business people to develop and grow their country. And somehow it seems that as a reflex, that the press assumes that this is the government doing some wickedness, or people in the government have done something. We need to have more faith in the things we do to build our country. The government could not be tainted by this activity. If it was a minibus in the road and they find money in it, the US in the minibus or in the taxi, how does it taint the government? Of course, you say it's a special operation. I don't want to denigrate it by saying, it's a minibus. But how does it make the government taint the government? I wouldn't jump to that conclusion, that the government is tainted because it allowed for a Guyanese person to set up an airport for executive travel and for medevac, that the owner finds himself at a personal level in some problem overseas, that it taints the government. I want us to separate the government from the issue and have a dispassionate look at the issues related to it. I won't say that the government is tainted. Everybody wants to taint the government by reflex, which is an unhappy thing. But the government will continue, and we as agents and arms of the government will continue to facilitate Guyanese people to lawfully and legally, with integrity, come and join and work in the effort in the struggle of developing our country. That is what the government is for.
Mr. Bennett, if Mr. Lal is convicted, would government still consider using the services of the exempt again?
I cannot state, I can't make that leap of speculation on that issue. I think that it is a fact. I think that the hangar is almost built. Probably is a fact that we have one or two claims related to the operations somewhere. But I can't speculate as to what the government is with respect of its aircraft operations here and now. If it was a minibus or something in the road, I wouldn't necessarily say you wouldn't be using minibus because the man to do something bad or wicked somewhere else.
But if he crashed two times,
Well, if he crashes, well, I'd hope on statistics that he wouldn't crash for another few trips, so it might be safer there, statistically speaking. But if he's a bad operator, of course you'll run away from him.